Welcome to Davion Radio, where we address the pressing issues. And today I am here with Mr. McDaniel. Could you please state your position?
Mr. McDaniel, social studies teacher, South High School.
Okay. And today we'll be talking about positive behavior reinforcement in schools. So my first question for you is, does positive behavior reinforcement really work in schools?
Yes, I believe it does. I think you have to have a relationship and familiarity with the student, a trust factor for it to work. But I do believe in general people respond better to positive interaction as opposed to kind of negative or harsher or even jumping to conclusions. So yeah, I believe it can work if worked on and earned properly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So are you aware of what PBIS stands for?
I believe so. It's Positive Behavior Intervention System. I believe that is it. I could be wrong on the I. I'm not sure exactly.
No, you're right on everything except for the S. The S stands for supports. Are you aware of the slogan?
For at South, I think it's best. I believe it's the Be Best slogan.
So
I think same.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question is, why do you think that the slogan doesn't make it to high school floors?
I think being kind of juvenile in nature kind of turns students off to it. And I think also it's kind of long too. I think that makes it a little harder to remember. And also too, right now I think it's still new. I mean, if it's given time to become part of the culture, it can be learned. But that's one of the things with kind of PBS and these kind of systems, that we kind of jump from one to the other as opposed to maybe trying to have one set. I think it takes time. Again, back to the relationship piece. I think if you want to do it, you have to focus on a few things and work at it, let it grow, let it develop, as opposed to, all right, didn't work, so great, let's try this. Well, all right, stick with something and let it go from there.
Mm-hmm. My next question is, why aren't you on the team?
Just as far as for the school team, the PBIS team.
Yeah, school PBIS.
I don't know. I think they have a certain number of set positions, and I just wasn't included on that. So yeah, I just wasn't asked or didn't really have any honestly desire to do that as far as. But we get a lot of interaction from them and report back. So as far as, I think you can still interact with it and not necessarily be a part of the team.
Yeah. So why do you believe it only works for middle schoolers?
I don't know. I think maybe that culture, again, of having those type of, little acronyms as far as behavior. I think with high school, it get to that point where they're young adults, and if you look at the way the world works, adults don't operate that way. Yeah. And so I think at that point, you kind of deal with things as they come, and you deal with, I think it should be more, I feel like with high school kids, dealt with behaviors that work on building positive kind of habits and attitudes about being a young adult that would be beneficial at a job or in school. Mm-hmm. Because you think as an adult, I know as an adult, nobody says, "Oh, are you being your best today?" It's like, we don't talk to each other that way. So I think with high school, it's at that point, it's not a natural part of the culture in the way that we interact with one another. So yeah, I think at that point it can be kind of juvenile, almost patronizing in a way if you try to use that with high school kids as opposed to as you would talk to like each other as adults. Okay,
yeah. My next question for you is, do you think that positive reinforcement works at other schools?
It's hard to speak on that without actually, seeing or knowing it. But I think it does. I think, on a like I said before, I think on an individual class to class or even student to teacher basis, it can work. And again, I think it goes back to that part about really building a relationship, knowing that student. And also too, I think when we talk about positive reinforcement, what someone deems as positive, it's not standard. I think that's the problem too sometimes, these systems that we try to put it in place like it's this standard prescriptive way versus kind of teaching some general guidelines and how to read people. And students are different. What works for one period is not going to work for the next. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to be able to be, I think, socially flexible in reading people, and that's part, I think, of teaching, because you deal with people and you're dealing with them in a much more, again, intimate day-to-day basis, and you're with each other. It's not other jobs. You see different people as you go along, but this is a very intimate day-to-day, get to know each other kind of journey. So it can work. I think it has to have that type of flexibility with it, where you learn who you're with.
Yeah. And my last question for you today is, if you could make a contribution to help the program grow, what suggestion would you make?
I would say to really focus on the kind of seemingly small but environmental things. I would say, working on maybe having, honestly, the hallways in certain parts be a little more cleaner, and work on maybe not having as much trash around, or really emphasizing on students on not, if they can't throw, it seems simple, but if they can't throw away their food, the wrappers, really crack down on maybe them having that. And then also too, I think just general students in the hallway during those certain time periods. I think because we kind of internalize positively or negatively what the environment looks like, and if we see that someone's just throwing trash on the floor, it's like, all right, well, I think that leads to other things. Like, oh, if no one cares about that, they're not going to care about if I don't go to class or if I walk around. So yeah, I would say small, kind of seemingly insignificant things, but they go a long way with how we behave in the classroom and in the whole school as a whole. So I would say those kind of areas that we kind of overlook but have a big impact.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for your time.